There we go. What's going on, guys? So I guess we sort of missed the action. I mean, not really. We were there. We covered, obviously, up until the end. And right when we fell asleep, he was captured. But we were pretty quick at hopping back to at least Twitter to let everybody know that it's over. So for the for those of you guys that obviously know, it's been or don't know, it's been 14 days since Cavalcante escaped from the Chester County Jail. Um, Really sending shockwaves through the entire community. We'll go back actually towards the center of town so you guys can see. And though Westchester wasn't directly impacted per se as far as the night out and stuff around the community has gone back to normal. We did a little bit of a drive on the way here and saw more activity than before, showing that everybody's slowly getting back into their routines, and Cavalcante is back to his routine at a maximum security prison in Montgomery County. He's right now being housed at SCI Phoenix, which is a level 5 prison. It's a death row prison. And this all started, again, 14 days ago in this small community of Pocopson, where a convicted murderer escaped, uh, literally sending shockwaves through the community and riveting the nation, garnering worldwide attention. It came to the peaceful resolution that authorities wanted. Like we said from the beginning, the Pennsylvania State Police, they weren't out to kill Cavalcante. They were out to capture him by any means necessary, even if that meant killing him. From what I understand, they received a good amount of intelligence from him, kind of retracing his steps and trying to figure out how he slipped their radar, which is enormous. Had they killed him, it would have been a little bit more difficult. And what authorities can do in a situation like that to keep him talking is offer him a little bit more comfort in prison, maybe giving him money on his commissary, for example. You guys saw him trying to go to friends and ask for help, ask them to assist him. And that's what got him captured. If it wasn't for him slipping up, hey, how are you? If it wasn't for him slipping up, he would have never gotten caught. So that was what really set Cavalcante back, was that sense of he was desperate. He went to a friend's house, tried to get him to help him. The friend called the police, and that shifted the search 48 minutes away from where authorities were focused. So had he skipped town, he would have made it out of the state rather easily. And that's what got him in the end, was that desperate move of trying to get help from others that did not want anything to do with this. They didn't want to aid and abet perhaps one of the most wanted people in Pennsylvania easily, but at one point, I mean, it's easy to say that he became a very wanted person by the federal government, who got involved and ended up assisting in the capture and capturing him. I have more photos that I'll put out this week from some law enforcement sources that were down there in the woods and on the ground. The moments leading up to his capture, which are they're dramatic to say the least. Like, we'll recap it maybe tomorrow or the next day, take you guys to the area he was found in and show you his little escape route and how he made it from Little's down by the John Deere, and then ultimately how he crawled through the brush and hidden under branches and whatnot. And what's interesting is they were going to pull out the drones. They were going to pull everything out because of the rain, and the drone contractor took a big risk by saying, you know what, we're going to stay in the air because we have eyes on him. And if we take it down now, we're going to lose those eyes. And that's something that we've lost one too many times. So that risk was obviously major on his part. But had he not done that, there's a chance that we would still be on the ground right now covering day 15 of the manhunt. So it's very good that they kind of went above and beyond, because in situations like that, when they have government contracted agencies helping out, it's really up to them if they want to ground their operation for the night due to the weather, or if they want to stay up. And he made the decision to keep it in the air, which is what really led to the capture. And if it wasn't for Cavalcante himself going to the friend's house, it's likely that he would have been out of the state by now if he had at least a little bit of resources. And honestly, he didn't really need many. The car wouldn't have pinged, and by the time it did ping as stolen, he would have been well away. Yeah, we're gonna cross over. But yeah, guys, I mean, it's been fun. It's been cool to meet everybody in the community, and I think we covered it in a unique angle, something that we've never seen and we've never done. And it was quite the experience, not just for us, but for the community. It can finally go back to bed tonight, go back to normal. Schools are going to obviously be open. I believe they were open maybe today. If not, they'll be back tomorrow. And life is back to normal for everybody here in Chester County, and some in Delaware who were concerned too. And again, like we were saying from the beginning, this wasn't just like a news headline. It wasn't a story. It was these people's lives. They were living it in real time. We told you guys about one of the viewers who wound up shooting at Cavalcante. He was tuned in and watching the live streams from the beginning. So when he went dark, it was apparent that something had happened. And a lot of residents were reaching out to us and letting us know that it was him. So again, within the next couple of days, we'll do a little bit of a recap, take you guys back down to where Cavalcante was, from the prison up to Water Glen, now that the perimeters have been lifted completely. And we'll end it by going to Little's and the John Deere area, where they ended up capturing him early this morning. And it was a very interesting strategy that they used. What they did is, after he fell asleep, so to say, and he got comfortable, that's when they moved in. They kind of drained his energy, and we kind of said that last night, that what they're going to end up doing is try to keep him awake as long as they could, so by the time he huddles down for the night, he'll be exhausted. And for those of you that aren't from around here, this is the area of West Chester University, and it's not too far from the jail that he escaped from. It's actually about maybe a 10-minute drive. And obviously the campus was on edge for the beginning of the search until he managed to get to Phoenixville, kind of alleviating this area of the stress, but then raising stress levels through the roof in that area that he had managed to get to. It's going to be a good night for the victim's family, who can finally go to bed knowing that he's behind bars where he belongs. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we have for you guys. I guess I'll go through the comments and see if there are any questions on YouTube, but not on X. I'm not really checking out the comments on X. Just give me a sec. But yeah, this is West Chester's, basically their campus. I mean, this is the downtown West Chester that we were talking about, where all the bars are located and the students come out to sort of get away from the schoolwork and whatnot. But give me a second. Let me switch over to read what comments if you guys have any questions. But again, I have some cool videos that we'll release maybe this week if I get permission from law enforcement, or when I do get permission. I know that a lot of it is still under investigation, so we're going to probably hold off on some of that. But let's see what you guys. So right now we're just literally hopping on to do a little recap because people wanted to hear what went down. And for the most part, what went down, you guys saw live this morning on the news. Fox 29 had an aerial shot. Luckily, we had a few guys on the ground working that were able to send us some pictures that I threw up just for you guys to kind of, should we go up this way then? Yeah. Just for you guys to kind of see what's going on. And I don't know if actually those pictures, I know that a few of the pictures that we put out wound up being released from other uh, areas, but I think there's one or two that still haven't made it past the Twitter stuff. But again, it's back to normal here. And yeah, Cavalcante's at a maximum security prison that there's a 0% chance of him escaping that facility. Literally a 0% chance. He's going to be in solitary confinement for quite some time, if not years. When he goes out to the yard, it's going to be in a cage. And as far as following any other coverage on this, I'm not sure there really is any other coverage that's going to be necessary, like that will necessarily warrant us to be here. Um, what we wanted to cover for the community was the manhunt, and the manhunt's over, and it's time for them to finally get some rest. I'm going through. I don't know what he said when he was interviewed. I do know that he is being rewarded for providing information. That reward being commissary and some comfort in solitary confinement. I guess maybe they'll give him an extra pillow or something. But again, it's nothing crazy that he's going to get. No, I was never scared. And we were actually. What's funny is where the FBI staged at. You guys saw that shot live on. I'm losing track of days, but 2 days ago when he wound up being in that vicinity, we were on Prizer, and that's where that exact address is where the FBI set up their base camp and successfully captured Cavalcante with the assistance of the state police, Homeland Security, Border Patrol. The list goes on. ATF, tactical units, the U.S. Marshals. They were all stationed in that specific driveway that we were the night before that. So it's pretty interesting to see that became ground zero for the manhunt about 24 hours after we left. And we've noticed that throughout this entire thing, it was almost like as if everywhere we showed up within hours or the next day, it became sort of a ground zero for the search. Let's see any other questions that are coming in. So I don't know if they'll release body cam footage. I do know that they have other footage that they can release after the investigation is complete. Um, oh yeah, Meg, the investigation is still very active. Hey, how are you? The investigation is very active still. They want to know how he managed to get away from them for so long and kind of retrace his steps themselves. But what's cool is we'll be able to go back to the perimeter because there is no perimeter. And a lot of what's interesting is there's a local who's very cool, and I believe she's working on a design for some perimeter stuff, which is kind of funny. That word kind of blew up, and the perimeter has now turned into a funny line. I mean, and it's a catchy name for a bar or a club too. Perimeter, it sounds pretty cool. But we heard that word over and over again: perimeter, 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 and they managed. I get last night's perimeter was pretty tight. You guys saw it. We drove around for 2 hours trying to kind of. I'm not going to say penetrate the perimeter, like we weren't trying to break through it. But if there was a loophole, obviously, that's fair game. There were no loopholes on this perimeter. In the backpack, you want to know what's in the backpack? So the backpack had snacks, trail mix, fruit, just all kinds of, like, some water bottles, stuff for him to survive on. And originally, they also, law enforcement shared the same belief with some of you that maybe he left the backpack because maybe somebody had picked them up. And that wasn't the case. I think he wanted them to believe that. Nobody will get the reward. He was captured by federal authorities, so the reward money is not going to be issued. It's going to be reserved, I guess, for the next manhunt if there is one. I don't think that was that reward. I don't believe was from a fundraiser. If it was, they would have refunded it. But this reward was from this reward was from the government. So there's really nobody that's going to get it. The government caught him. That was more so if you saw him yourself and your tip led to him, you would get the reward. But in this case, there was no tip that led to him. It was actually the thermal shots that came in last night, and that's what led to his capture. The interview that you guys are asking about, I'm reading YouTube comments. The interview that you guys are asking about, that's not going to be released. That's for investigative purposes only. That stuff like that's going to stay sealed. I think the dog is eating very well tonight. I mean, they always feed those dogs very well. Those little guys, they get like steak and all kinds of good food. But I'm sure that they're treating the dogs very well. And especially now, that dog's going to be happy. He's going to have a couple, maybe a week or so off to relax. I'd take him to a dog spa or something because the little guy ended up essentially capturing him. So the phone is still under investigation. Hong's here. The phone was the phone is still under investigation. Hey, how are you? The phone is still under investigation. He did have one. I don't know if they found it on his body, but he did steal a phone from one of the residences that he broke into. That's their belief because it was a flip phone. They don't know if he brought it with him from the jail, which is also possible. So that's all under investigation. And obviously the phone wasn't much of help because he tried to go to a friend that he thought would help him, and that friend called the police, which was very smart because if he didn't call the police, he would still be on the run. He was far out from that perimeter, and he very likely would have been out of the state, if not out of the country, with the amount of time he had. They were focused so hard on Longwood, and they had no idea that he wasn't there, so he could have easily gotten away. So the ring footage, that's something I can probably get my hands on. I'll try that. Yeah, that is actually interesting. Maybe they should. Somebody said the friends should get the reward. That's not a bad idea because if it wasn't for that tip, they would have never apprehended him. Or they would have maybe eventually, but they wouldn't have gotten him in Chester County. I'm sure we'll continue content. All right, a lot of people are, I guess, recognizing. So I'm sure we'll continue content, but it's more so stuff that is similar to this, that the community needs answers to, not really stuff that you guys know what I mean. Like this whole thing started with. Let me put this down so I can read the comments a lot easier. But this whole thing started, and it was about the community. It wasn't really about finding any getting publicity or anything like that. You know, it was really for the public. Let me throw this over here. I didn't bring the right stand, so I can't. Let's see. Jimmy Hoffa? No, I'm not gonna look for Jimmy Hoffa. So they are looking. So somebody said, did he break into a home last night? So from what I understand, he did, and again, that's my understanding. I have to dig a little bit more, um, but it was for food. Like somebody said from Cannet, Cannet is a nearby town, and that was the goal. It was kind of to keep the locals informed, and that was it. Our job is basically done as far as this case is concerned. What we'll do is a little bit of a recap tomorrow or the next day, and take you guys to his stomping grounds where he was found, and show you guys the terrain over there so you can see what law enforcement was dealing with. Yes, the van ran out of gas. So no, he wasn't in the trunk of a car, and that's also under investigation. They want to see if that was some sort of a distraction, because it was a very specific and detailed 911 call. Very specific. It said that I saw a man with a rifle going from one car to another. Yeah, so somebody said they think we were at the place where the alarm went off. It could be. We were in the same driveway that the FBI was stationed in last night. We were there 2 nights ago, hanging out by the cornfield with the spotlight on when they had the first sighting of him in that area. Yes, he's okay. The man who shot at the Nello is okay. I'm going through the comments. I don't know what was up with the sister in the U-Haul. That's something I'll look into too. Um, but again, for the most part, the important coverage is pretty much it is done. It's over with. The community could go back to bed. We can go back to bed. Law enforcement can finally go back to their normal routine and focus on other stuff going on rather than the manhunt. But the big thing is that the community is finally at ease. I don't know if he had any money on his person. I don't think he did. I don't know what's next. I don't know why everybody. I don't know. I don't even know how we wound up in the middle of this. Um, I know why we wound up in the middle of it, but I didn't think it was going to turn into something that will continue. Maybe we will, but obviously not continue covering the manhunt. That's not what I'm talking about. But maybe we'll do similar investigations. And it wasn't our first rodeo covering a local story. A lot of local stories are very sensitive. We did one in Iowa, and it was similar. Not a manhunt, but it was a very similar tight knit community. And when you're covering tight knit communities, you have to remember that they want to maintain their privacy. They want to stay off of camera and stuff, but they also want to be watching. They want to see what's going on, but they don't want to be the focus of the coverage. And that's what that was our goal. It wasn't to interview neighbors or people. We could have interviewed a lot of people that were involved, from his roommate to law enforcement to neighbors to those that saw him. But that wasn't the goal for us. The goal for us was really to cover the manhunt. I don't think we'll go to. We're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna cover the Washington stuff. I'm not trying to break up with you guys, but what I'm trying to say is, essentially, our job here is done for the most. I mean, our actual job here is done. What we'll do is recreate and go through the woods and stuff and show you guys that. But other than that, there really isn't much more. Typically, I cover true crime, and that the braided hair is interesting. So he could have done that himself, but it's hard. I don't know. I don't braid hair, so I don't know how hard that would be to do on your own. But no, no, we're not. I think the photo is actually not bad. It's good that it's almost as if they caught an animal and they're showing them off. You know, at the end of the day, they should be happy that they got them. And I would that was a very good photo, in my opinion. No, somebody said, "Can we confirm the camps?" So the camps are debunked. Well, I don't know. At least whatever camp somebody brought up to our attention a couple of days ago, that was debunked. If there was another one, I don't know about that. But the one that somebody posted a photo of on Twitter, that's not a camp. That's just fake. That's not his. And that's why we got involved. not that's not why, but it was more so to ease the misinformation that's going on, and that's really important in something like this. I mean, saying he's camping right there in plain sight, that just makes everybody look bad, and that wasn't the case. They wish he was camping in plain sight, but he wasn't. So no, it's not you, it's me. And that's why we want to take you guys to the scene of where he was, because a lot of you that aren't from here, and even some that actually no, none of you that are from here really, that I ran into, and I ran into easily 100 of you that came up to us. Nobody expressed any anger at law enforcement, and that was all from out of state for the most part, or people that know nothing about the area. Yeah, we're in Pennsylvania, and it's interesting because his braided hair again. That would have been a new look because he almost looked like a rapper. People wouldn't have known it was Cavalcante if he got away from Pennsylvania and went to another state. They wouldn't have assumed it was Cavalcante. Yeah, I'm sure he smelled bad, and that's I'm sure he smelled. Heck, I think I felt gross after that long. You know, it was because we were outside for so long, and even after showering, you get like hot and sweaty very quick. So I can't imagine what he was like. No, he's allowed to talk. He just doesn't say much. Everybody that met him in person, he was very talkative, but he wasn't very talkative on the camera. And guys, how funny is it that there was a meme going around? Not a meme, but they had like they took that green hoodie and put an Eagles logo on it, and then he wound up getting caught with an Eagles hoodie. I thought that was kind of ironic. So I don't think that personally. I don't think that we caught him on camera in the van. I think that was I think that was just a coincidence. I think that was another van, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't think that was it though, because there was no unit that I can see on top with the air conditioning. I'm not from far away. I'm only a 20-minute drive, and that's why we got involved. It's in our backyard, so to say, and we know Chester County. I mean, we know Westchester, the area of Westchester, very well. So, and then Hong also lives in Chester County, so it was sort of in our backyard. The last, the tail end of the manhunt was only a 10-minute drive from Hong's, so it kind of circled back to home. Somebody said, "Do I think he would have hurt somebody trying to get away?" Yeah, I do. He's a murderer, so that's why it's important that he's behind bars or dead. He's a danger to society, a threat to the public. He's a definition of a threat to the public. He was an armed murderer. He's killed at least twice, like twice that we know of, and possibly a third, and two in Brazil, possibly, and one here. But there's 2 confirmed killings, and one of them was because his girlfriend was going to turn him into the police, and that's why he killed her. So if he had come across a homeowner at that point, I'm sure he would have tried to hold them hostage. And it's good that there was nobody um, easily accessible for him to grab, you know. And then again, I could be wrong. Perhaps he wanted to just keep running, but I don't know. I think if you killed once, you'll do it again, let alone twice. And especially given the circumstances of why he committed the second murder, because he was going to be turned in. Obviously, anybody else that threatened his freedom, he was willing to kill. Put yourself in the shoes of the victim's family. He was, he said he loved her, you know, so they were as close as you can get, and he killed her. So if he doesn't even know you, I think he would kill you too, and that's why it's important for him to be behind bars. Um, he's a threat. No, I didn't hear about the state police walking right by him, but I believe it because that's why we want to take you guys to that area so you can see it for yourselves and um, realize the difficulties of trying to capture somebody in terrain like that. It's almost unheard of, and I'm sure that the legislation in Pennsylvania, they might even this might even make it to the House floor, where after you're convicted, you're going to be transported right away rather than wait. I don't know how he met the victim. Yeah, I don't think he broke the second perimeter, but what he did is he tried to gain entry into Little's. He tried to open up the door, and it was locked. So he ran. Watermelon was easily accessible. If you guys are watching the stream throughout the entire time, even the boring parts, we showed you guys like there was a watermelon stand right near where the van was ditched. So until they closed somebody said, "What else can I say that I knew from before that I couldn't say before?" Um, until I find out that they actually closed the investigation, I'm still bound to the secrecy. But once they officially close it, then I can say some more about other stuff that I know and perhaps share some images and video. But that's only after they close it, and it's not closed. The investigation is still very open. A scheduled live stream. I don't know why. Let me see what that's about. We can cancel that. Oh, thanks, Pamela. Hold on, let me see. So I don't really use YouTube, so I don't know why. I don't know how I made it. Give me a sec. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said that there's a scheduled one. I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Like I said, I only made the YouTube for really this because Twitter was limiting the comments. And that's the thing. A lot of residents can finally go to sleep tonight. It's been a long few weeks for them. I know it felt long for others, but it felt like months to those that live here. Every day felt like a week. No, right now we're in Westchester. And from what I understand, as far as the costs, I believe it was about $1 million a day. I, it might have been more, but that doesn't matter. The costs aren't really what the problem is. We should be thankful that the United States and I mean the government has a budget like that where they can just spend whatever they need to catch somebody. Yeah, people are asking if I'm new to YouTube. Yeah, I've never used YouTube ever. This is my first. I only did it because X wasn't working right, so I came to YouTube. But I'm not really a YouTuber at all. I don't. Like, I'm not. Like, yeah, the flicking of the lights. I believe that was confirmed. It was confirmed. That was him. And again, like as far as the cost, the government spends money on the dumbest stuff, guys. So you guys should be kind of happy that you were able to see the government's money at work for once. You know, you were able, like not for once, but you were able to see the money being put to something that you can watch in real time. You know, and I don't know how the YouTube blew up so much with followers. I don't know if there are that many locals that are watching, but I mean that was kind of crazy. I'm sure he had help. I think that he did. I think so. I wasn't since I didn't see much of the press release or the conference. I don't want to speak to what I know until I read what they've released to the public. So that way I make sure that I'm not going to say something prematurely. But I don't know. Um, that's I'll leave it at that as far as him having help. Um, like I personally know of some stuff, but I'm not going to say that until I know that the investigation is closed. So I don't know if they said that at the press conference if they got into that topic, but if they did, I'll get into it only to the extent that they did. I'm not going to go any further. The good thing is if we continue doing stuff like this, um, it's kind of a breath of fresh air when we're not in town. Because if we show up, that means something's wrong, you know. Um, but we want to cover it in the most respectful manner to both everybody involved, including the victim's family, um, who I believe they deserve a lot more, um, not attention, but respect for what they had to go through. I can't imagine having to try to sleep at night when, if that was my sister or my mom or somebody, and somebody did that, you know. And people are saying that the resident that missed the shots was drunk. Even if he was, guys, put yourself in his shoes. You're living in a small area. You're confined to your home. What are you going to do? What's the problem with having a couple of drinks? You're not expecting a killer to come into your home. You can't go out, you know. So just to go to the bar, it would take them hours. So I'd be in the same boat. You know, I'd be doing the same thing. So I think that a lot of you would actually be on the same boat. And even people that are saying stuff that are kind of rude to the guy, I think you guys would be in the same boat doing that if you're stuck sitting in the home all day. You can't go anywhere. So if you're going to be stuck inside, might as well drink. And if you're going to drink, you're not expecting a killer to come like barging through your living room, you know? Yeah, I was exhausted last night. Yeah, we were literally on fumes the past couple of days. I slept at around 7 this morning, and the group chat started, like a law enforcement group chat started blowing up at around 7:30, and Hong came out and he was like, "You got to get up, you got to get up, we got to go." And I'm like, "No, I'm sleeping. If they catch him, they're gonna text us." And like I told you guys, we were gonna get the text, and we did. So I put it out. So people were like talking about the scanner saying one in custody or something, one in custody, but I was waiting for the text, and the text came through, I think in real time, like right before the dispatch. So I had to just go through my messages, and then when I saw because I wasn't gonna just say captured without seeing something, and then when I went through the group chat and I saw all of the photos, that I felt safe, obviously at that point, saying that he's been captured, and it was only like a 4-minute time delay, and then I went right back to bed. So I threw it up there, put the pictures out, and crashed until 4. And I guess we could take the time to say, like, to other streamers, I mean, those streamers are what changed the game. They brought a lot of attention to a case that needed attention, that had no coverage. And if it wasn't for streamers, everybody would have been left in the dark. I don't consider us streamers, but I'm happy that streamers were taking the content and using it, because that gave them something to work with. There's only so much they can do with an affidavit of probable cause. There's only so much they can do with news coverage. There's only so much they can do with that. So it's good that they were able to tap into our streams, and that's why I was telling them, you guys you're free to use it anywhere you want. This is more so to bring attention and awareness to an investigation that at first had no attention, and it was streamers that really jumped in, and their numbers spoke volumes. After they got involved, you guys saw the national press descend on Chester County. I mean, I guess we'll keep doing it if stuff pops off that, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. I know that we'll do a little bit of a walkthrough tomorrow and show you guys um, the area of where he was captured and stuff. We'll do that, but we'll go with it as it comes. Again, we weren't looking for. I made it clear from the beginning we weren't looking for money or views or subscribers or followers. It really wasn't about that. So there's nothing, that might. I still have the same mindset. It's still not about that. I understand that there's a lot of followers and stuff that came in. I think on Twitter alone was another 20 or 30,000 extra followers, but it really wasn't about that. It was just to keep the public. It was to give the public another line of communication and also real time footage of what's going on, so they can sleep knowing what's going on in their backyards. And that's why we were able to get so close with the community. The community welcomed us into their homes, into their businesses, on their property. And it's because whenever we saw them, we would always mute it. And a lot of you guys started to understand that when it was muted, it was because we were talking to either law enforcement or um, the community. And even law enforcement, they were watching it too. So whenever we pulled up, they would come to the door and then almost like mouth to us, "Is it muted?" And I would say, "Yes, you're good, don't worry," because they knew that we would mute it whenever we were speaking with them. And their wives were watching, their mothers were watching. A lot of the troopers, their moms and their mothers, or their moms and their mothers, their moms, their girlfriends, their wives, their fiancés, their kids, they were watching it too, and they wanted to see what was going on with their loved ones that were covering, that had boots on the ground, law enforcement. So whenever they would come to us, we would always mute it, unless we thought it was just fine, which a lot of the times we didn't have to, because it was just, could we get through? No? Okay, cool. But if we had to ask them a question, we would mute it, because they can't get in trouble for us asking them to, could we make a U-turn? But if they were to answer any questions and stuff like that, they can get in trouble. And that's the last thing we wanted, is for an officer to get in trouble while he's trying to catch somebody on the run. We didn't need more drama, you know. Yeah, dog was gonna come. And for those of you guys that were watching, I'm losing track of days, but I think it was maybe not yesterday. Maybe it was yesterday. Yesterday morning, I hopped on the phone for a few minutes to get dog on, and then he said that there's something he had to tell me between me and him, so I muted it, obviously. But yeah, I was in constant communication with dog, and he's a great guy. He doesn't get money for coming out to these things. If anything, it costs him a lot of money to do this kind of stuff. Um, Not that he doesn't have it, but at his age, to just pick up, drop everything, and fly, it costs. He has to come out with a team. He was going to come out with Leland, his son, who was going to come with him, and then also a few more guys. So when you have 5 or 6 people traveling, and then you need hotels, and you don't know how long it's going to take, it's expensive. And he was going to foot the bill, which is very nice of him. And it's also a way to again get everybody in full gear. We don't want to distract from what was actually going on, and that's a manhunt. But again, I think Dog would have at least brought some attention to the case that wouldn't perhaps have diverted any attention from what was going on, but it would have at least, I don't know. I don't know. Since he didn't come, I don't know, but he was going to come tomorrow, Thursday. He didn't come because they caught him. And again, um, Dog was in communication with me because he knows that he knew me from the Brian Laundrie investigation where I was covering Gabby Petito's murder, and he knew that I had a very good law enforcement base of sources, and including Florida was included in that, and also Wyoming, and I mean, pretty much. I'm not going to say all over the country, but I have a good like network of law enforcement that I communicate with. So Dog was going to come Thursday, but I was giving him information with permission from the sources that indicated they were very close to the capture, so it wasn't necessary for him to fly out and purchase tickets from then because they were pretty confident that they were onto something. I'm sure I can monetize the channel, but again, I don't know if I'm gonna. This was literally created for the manhunt. Other than that, again, it wasn't something that we tried to profit off of. But you guys can see how, like, not that you guys saw the this area during the live streams before. We didn't cover this area, but when we were driving through, it was much quieter than it is tonight, and it's a Wednesday night, and it's pretty lively. Um, so last weekend, it was almost like this, kind of like pretty slow. I think Danella will get proper care in prison. If you mean, are they gonna beat him? I don't think they're gonna beat him. He's gonna be treated as if he's any other prisoner. Um, he's gonna be in solitary for quite some time, at least maybe even a couple of years, if not more. When you escape a jail and you're an escape risk, which he is a very big escape risk, he might not see the light of day outside of a cage for several years before he's able to go to the yard. And even when he goes to the yard, there's going to be, I think Phoenix has 4 layers of barbed wire, like 4 different fences of barbed wire. So even if he makes it past the first one, they'll shoot him and kill him. So I don't see him breaking out again. If he tries to escape again, it's going to be a suicide attempt. At that point, he wants to commit suicide if he tries to escape because they're going to kill him. There's no way to get out. without dying from that prison. What was interesting is, um, oh no, he'll go to yard. He'll go to yard as soon as next week, but it's going to be in a cage. They'll put him outside in a cage and they'll watch him and then they'll put him back in. Because you have to have 1 hour of yard per day. It's like a human rights thing. So he'll go out for he'll he'll go from solitary in chains to a cage outside where they will unchain him in the cage and lock him in a cage for 1 hour and then bring him back. But they won't leave the area of the cage. They'll have guards around it. Right now we're in Westchester. Yeah, so the state prison, the guards are much different. I'm not saying that the guards here are bad. They're just not trained. Um, that's not their problem. That's more so the county that has to do that. The county has to train their guys more and the girls. But he's at SCI Phoenix. It's a maximum security prison with a death. I believe it even has a death row wing. So it does have a death row wing. So people that are there, they have death row inmates. So it's one of the most secure prisons in Pennsylvania, if not the most secure. I think it's number one or number two. It's in the top two. Because Phoenix is among the top two most secure prisons, and he's gonna have to go back to court. Eventually, he will be going back to court in Chester County, but they're not going to bring him back to the Chester County jail, so they can transport him from Phoenix to here, and then right back to Phoenix. No, Phoenix is not in Phoenixville. Phoenix is in Montgomery County. It's about 45 minutes from here, maybe a little more. No, he's not going to go to Florence. That's a rumor. He's charged in the state, so he's going to stay in state prison. I don't know where he shaved. Yeah, Phoenix was Graterford. It used to be called SCI Graterford. SCI stands for State Correctional Institution, and he used to be it used to be Graterford, but now it's Phoenix. They rebuilt it. It's brand new. Tomorrow we'll try to go live again. I guess around 1 p.m. And we don't want him going to Brazil to go to prison, because if he goes to Brazil, there's a chance he can get away again. There's no chance he's going to get away from here. We'll probably stay on for like another 10 minutes because there's nothing really other than hanging out. But I'm going to stay live for like 10 more minutes and figure out for tomorrow where we're going to go. I don't know if we'll be there for his court stuff. That's not really our party. You know what I mean? He might have braided his own hair. My last name is Hadzf Stathia. Thanks, Karen. So I'm not going to speak on what I know as far as who participated and what their role was until I know that law enforcement um, ends their investigation. And I don't know if I know they didn't end their investigation, and I don't know what was said at today's press conference. Um, Literally, I just hopped on to talk with you guys, but I'm not going to jump into details about the sister or other relatives and family, friends, or you know what I mean, or friends, until after I get a chance to watch the press or see what they said, so I don't say more. I don't want to impede in their investigation. From what I understand, there will be. I don't want to impede in their investigation. When I watch it, I'll see what the lieutenant colonel said, and if he spoke on that subject, I'll speak about the sister. Or if he spoke about others, I'll speak about others. But until I hear that it's closed, I won't. Or that they speak about it, or that they're going to. You know, once I find out that it's closed and that the necessary charges are filed against, if they're filed against others, then I'll speak about it. But I'm not going to jump on that. Right now, we're in Westchester. If that's all he said about her being deported, then he didn't get into specifics yet, so I'm not going to either. But it's more than just a deportation. Okay, thank you, Lily. I don't believe we know where they got the backpack. I mean, we have an idea, but again, I just want to circle back. Oops, sorry. I want to circle back with law enforcement before I say anything that I didn't say before, and that's what I've been doing this entire time. That's why I only if you're if you're local, you guys saw me in person, and I was sharing stuff with you as locals, um, and showing you guys stuff that I wouldn't show people on the live for obvious reasons. But it was more so they can go to bed knowing that everybody was on top of it, and also they were able to see images and stuff that we were sharing, that kind of helped them go to bed knowing that he wasn't in their area right now. So last night we were on location, I think, until 4:30. So, and at that point we were there for we might have been going on, I don't know. We were there the night before. We didn't go home. So when we got there, so yesterday morning, no, yesterday at around noon, I want to say we were there for 24 hours. So we left at 4 a.m. So we were going on 40. I mean, if we had stayed another 12 hours, it would have been a 48-hour continuous stream that we were on the ground. But I, at the time that we left, I was already told that there was going to be no way to get an angle of the capture, and it would have been pointless for us to just hang out. Um, and we were tired, so we knew that it was coming to an end eventually. Like we said last night, it's going to happen, whether it be today, tomorrow, the next day. They're going to catch them. And we even told you guys that they're going to try to keep him awake, which they did. And when he rests, that's when they'll move in, which is what they did. So yeah, that was why we left at 4:30. There was no point for us to stick around. And they told us they were going to text us right off the bat, which they did. And I woke up and I tweeted real quick, and then I went back to bed. But you guys should have seen Hong. I wish I had it. I wish I was. Wish we had a like hidden camera set up, because he came running and like, yo, they got him. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. But then I checked the group chat, and it was blowing up, and they got him. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, the light switch was true. And that's why we were driving around a lot, because those areas actually became focal points. Toward the end, we took you guys by the John Deere a few times. We took you guys to Prizer Road. We were at Prizer Road for quite some time, maybe 8 hours, 8 or so hours. We were on Prizer, so you guys got to see that. I still don't know how he shaved, and that's something. Well, I have an idea, but I'm gonna wait for law enforcement to put that out there, and then I'll clarify. But I do know that Netflix actually reached out to the state police this morning, which is kind of funny. I don't know how much of that I'm going to get into until they clear it, but that's definitely interesting that Netflix reached out to the jail, or not the jail, the state police, to Lieutenant Colonel. So I think it's because a lot of you guys have been on social media saying Netflix, and I think that producers at Netflix, every time they looked up the word Netflix, it was always tied to Cavalcante. So they were watching. I know that, and they reached out to the state police this morning. I know that. I'm sure. And if they did try to reach out to me, they're in the same line as the locals. So I'm not like prioritizing Netflix and stuff like that. So like even other reporters that are reaching out, I'm sorry if I didn't get back to you, but there's been just so much communication going in. So I haven't had time to really go through my phone and check messages or voicemails or DMs and stuff like that. So I'm not I'm not 100% sure if they reached out, but I do know that they reached out to the state police this morning, which is how I found out that a lot of the stuff that I have is actually not it's not something that we can talk about or release because it's still under investigation. The escape. But again, all the information that I have, I've been sharing with the public, like or the locals at least, showing them because they're directly affected by this, not more so others that aren't from the area. Yeah, so Cavalcante is in the same prison that Bill Cosby was in, but it's a maximum security prison, like maximum. Yeah, I doubt Netflix would use any of the stuff without us knowing. That's a licensing issue, so they won't do that. But again, we didn't come here to profit off of it, and I don't know how somehow we ended up. I don't want to say leading the coverage. That's kind of cocky, but we ended up gathering at least the most locals' attention. So that's what was important. We wanted the locals to be at the focal point of what we were covering. I will, Matt Caffrey. No, I'm not married. These are getting funny questions now, but again, we're probably gonna head out in like 8 minutes. I just wanted to hop on. Any other questions that I can get in the next 8 minutes before hopping off would be cool. And if you're watching on Twitter, I'm sorry. If you're commenting, I guess I'll respond to those. But I'm not gonna see the comments right now in live, except on YouTube. And if they do make a movie, I think it's important, or a show. I think it's important that they don't celebritize Cavalcante in any way. This isn't him this isn't like a good story. If it's not something that you want to make a celebrity out of, he's a murderer, a violent one who scared an entire community and mortified the victim's family, not just once, but twice. He scarred them for life and then escaped, bringing back those memories just when they had some sort of closure, a little bit of closure. And there really is no closure when you lose that, when somebody brutally stabs your mother, your sister 38 times and escapes prison, there's no closure. So they had a sense of it when he was sentenced to life, and that sense of it was kicked in the face. They were kicked in the face essentially when he broke out. That literally was just as bad as, not just as bad, but it brought back that horrific night, and it brought fear to them. You know what I mean? You don't know where he was going. You don't know what he was going to do. You don't know who he wanted to kill. So they had to relive that thing for years, and though they probably won't ever get closure, a sense of security was nice, and they lost that up until this morning. No, we didn't go out to eat in Westchester tonight. I literally just came to Westchester because it was the closest to um, the prison. I wasn't gonna go outside the prison right now, or I'm definitely not outside of Phoenix. There's nowhere to go, and that place is like very secure. But I wasn't gonna go back to Chester County Jail. That's kind of a boring little backdrop, so I decided to just swing by here. When we have merch, put it on YouTube. That's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll do like the perimeter stuff. I think that'll be kind of funny. But I don't want to show people. I'm looking down. Maybe they'll stop using the word perimeter after this, and they'll change it up a little bit just to so it doesn't sound so funny. Because it got to the point where I started laughing whenever I was being serious, but then the word perimeter came up and I had to laugh because it just became funny to, I don't know, it was just funny at one point, the word perimeter. So it's when I would laugh mid sentence. That was a very serious sentence, and I started laughing because of the word perimeter. That was not on purpose. It's just because we took it so serious at first, and then it became, once we found out that he was in Phoenixville and the perimeter was airtight, that was it. That was like the cherry on top for us all. So I'm gonna put it in the pinned post because everybody's asking where we are. And what else we might do is go through the stuff and get you guys the highlights from the manhunt, because there are a decent amount from there. We were on Prizer Road for 8 hours. We were in the middle of the Water Glen perimeter for about 2 days, maybe three. We were at Longwood, so I think there are some highlights that we can put together just to see like the highlights. Where's that? Hold on, I'm looking at something. Oh, thanks, Robert. Cecilia, thank you. No, I don't live in Westchester. Eileen, we can go adopt Eileen. No, the perimeter news. I would laugh too much because I don't know. That word is just kind of funny. Not on law enforcement. It's just funny in general because it came from the lieutenant colonel who was very certain about this perimeter. So even law enforcement is cracking up at that word. At least the ones that I know that I'm texting, like troopers that were on the perimeter, they kind of have like an inside joke about it. So even they think it's hilarious. It's not. This isn't like a hit on law enforcement. It's, I guess, a hit on executives that make these decisions. They're not executives, the high dogs over there that run the show, you know. So they even thought it was hilarious, the whole perimeter thing. Like I'll see. I'm sure I can put the memes out because I have a lot of troopers have been making memes about perimeter with Lieutenant Colonel's face on it, talking about the perimeter. So I'll put that out. I'll post the memes. Yeah, I probably will because I think some of these guys are probably texting me right now laughing. So we'll put them up. There's a funny one where it says perimeter and then has his face on it, or the lieutenant colonel's face, and it shows the perimeter 48 minutes away from where he was. So yeah, I'll put those up. They're kind of funny. But it's good that nobody got hurt. Again, that's a priority. That was the priority and the main concern. Nobody else got hurt. He's back behind bars, and everybody can go back to bed with a little bit of a sense of humor with it too. You know, um, everything's going back to normal, which is good. No, I haven't seen the grumpy trooper. I'm sure he's probably. If I see him now, he'll laugh. You know, that was just because of being on for so many days, so he was tired. But I think he'll. He. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he like shook our hands and laughed. Or laughed just because of the whole situation. We were all way off. Like, we were far from the. He wasn't. We weren't only far from the perimeter, but he was. So I think he'll find that funny at this point. So yeah, guys, I haven't. So I'm gonna reach out to the locals, everybody that I've come to meet and text. Everything was so hectic at one point, so I really didn't get. We weren't able to text back when we got their numbers, and then those that sent their numbers, we weren't able to reach out. So I'm gonna start reaching back out. I'll put the memes up on Twitter and Facebook. I don't know if I can put. I guess I think I don't know if there's a way to put them up here, but I'll put them. Yeah. So at the end of the day, the community is able to go back to normal, and that's what really matters. And the victims have a little bit of closure, and he's behind bars. So again, guys. So what we'll do tomorrow is come back probably around 1 o'clock and take you guys to the original perimeter and the new perimeter, so that way you guys can see what was going on. I'm trying to go through the comments before we take it off. All right, guys. Well, we'll be back tomorrow, like to show you guys like I guess a little reconstruction. All right. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. All right. Bye.